Well, mercifully, one more game left in Colorado for this season. And I think the Giants just can't wait to get out of there. The bullpen blows another lead. The Giants lose 6-2 tonight. The Giants round up on Tuesday night, September 4th, game 2 of a 3-game series. And I think after tomorrow, they can't wait to get out of Denver. You can follow on Twitter, join the Crew Kai page on Facebook. Most importantly, please be kind and hit that subscribe button. Is it football season yet? If there's any good news, Sunday's almost here. The 49ers are almost back, so there will be an alternative to this depressing shit show of an offense right now. So hang in there. Sunday's almost here. You can watch Jimmy Garoppolo throw bombs, but they don't have any defense. That's going to be the downside of them. This offense is looking like a sad sack. They get only 2 runs on 8 hits, 2 errors tonight. 2 runs, 8 hits, no errors, excuse me. Colorado, 6 runs, 10 hits, no errors. And, man, you have to feel for Derek Rodriguez. He played a great game. 1 earned run, 6 hits, 6 strikeouts at Coors Field. He did his best. German Marquez, 2 earned, 6 2/3 innings, strikes out 11. And the bullpen, Reyes Maranta got Coors tonight, 4 earned and 1/3 of an inning pitched. It was just not fun. Walters was hit by Rodriguez earlier. Then Ty Block surrenders an earned run and 1/3 of an inning pitched. Dyson had to bail him out. Then comes in Casey Kelly in garbage time. Giants fall to 68-72 on the season. And it's just a little bit closer for them to be mathematically eliminated. And it did start with a single to start the game by Joe Panic to score Gregor Blanco. It was 1-0. Then Dahl hits a home run to right center. It's 1-1. And then Gorkis with his 16th home run on the year. 15th home run of the year. It's now 2-1 Giants. Then McMahon ties the game with a home run to center, 2-2. And then the dagger when Cargo triples to deep center. It scores Blackman, LeMahieu, Arenado, 5-2 Rockies. Then Parra walks in a run. 6-2 would be your final. And yeah, they did their best. I've liked the fact that in this series they've pitched around Nolan Arenado. That's what you got to do. You got to keep the bat out of Arenado's hands. But the problem is, it's been the Charlie Blackman show. He goes 3 for 5. I don't know what you do. Maybe hit him in the ribs tomorrow. I'm not sure. Then you had Gonzalez 1 for 4, Trevor Story 1 for 4, Dahl 1 for 4, Ian Desmond 1 for 4. But mercifully, only after today, there's only 22 games left in the season. Final time you have to play the Rockies. Just try to hit for once. But more call-ups today. We did. Ryder Jones called up. I would like to see him play some first base here. Belt got a hit today, but I'd like to see maybe more win on off days of Longoria and Crawford here. I'd certainly like to see Ryder Jones play some first base here. And Jones actually had a pinch hit. Was good. So I think I wouldn't mind seeing Ryder Jones play a bit of first base here. But this gets interesting. But this was a really good sign out of Rodriguez. The kid's a future ace. I certainly like what's happening with Derek Rodriguez. He's a future ace. And now I really am starting to come to terms that now with Rodriguez becoming the ace of the future, It could. I think the Giants could now be a lot more open to the possibility of trading Madison Bumgarner. I certainly would not have any issues with Bumgarner being traded this offseason. I really don't want to end up with another Matt Cain-like contract that would come back to bite them in the ass. Barry Zito, that's another terrible contract. But I just don't want to get stuck with another long-term contract to an aging pitcher. And then, of course, you're paying a lot of money to two pitchers who are likely going to be hurt next year. Cueto's not going to be pitching next year. You've got, who knows if Samardzija is going to pitch next year. I am starting to get the heebie-jeebies about pouring a lot of money on Madison Bumgarner. And he's going to maybe be around 125 to 150 million to re-sign him at this point. But I think you got to think about the farm too. There's going to be, you have to really start. And then the other reason why you can possibly trade, why I'd have no issue trading Bumgarner, is the fact that you've got two other arms in AAA that I think could actually compete for a roster spot in spring training next year. You've got Tyler Herb, who's shown some signs. He can strike out batters. He's maybe got a little bit of control issues, but I think he's definitely going to be up with the Giants at some point next year. Sean Anderson, his stuff has really looked pretty good in Sacramento. I think Anderson's going to be up with the Giants at some point next season. So you definitely have two arms in-house who could replace Madison Bumgarner if he were to be traded. And maybe you won't get the King's ransom you would have gotten, say, if they traded him last year or something like that. But, I think it's better to trade him next year than to get nothing out of him. And I think I just don't even know if Bobby Evans is going to keep his job this offseason. If anybody's actually going to get fired this scapegoated, it's going to be Bobby Evans. And a lot of these bad contracts, that somebody's going to get fired, and I think Evans is going to be fired this offseason. I certainly think there's going to be a new GM. And I think Evans is certainly going to be the one that's most likely to get fired. But I think at this point, whoever is taking over whoever is the GM next year, I think in winter meetings you do make Madison Bumgarner available for trade. Now, a team I think would maybe be a good match for Madison Bumgarner might be the Milwaukee Brewers. They have a couple of young outfielders who have some promise and power that might be expendable. You've got Domingo Santana, who spent most of his year in AAA. He's got some pop. He's young. He can play in the outfield. Maybe he could go with an outfield of Santana, get maybe a package of Santana and prospects back for Madison Bumgarner. And the Brewers, they certainly need another ace to go along with the return of Jimmy Nelson next year. So why not slot Mad Bum with Jimmy Nelson next year in Milwaukee? And that rotation just gets a lot more improved. And definitely the Brewers have some prospects they could give up. And I certainly think the Milwaukee Brewers would be a great trade partner for Madison Bumgarner. So I'm at the point where I think Rodriguez is the future. I don't think this is the Mad Bum generation anymore. It's going to be, at this point, the future is Derek Rodriguez. And you know what? He's only going to get better next year. He's going to develop that fourth pitch. Man, once he develops a fourth pitch, he's going to be deadly. And then if Stratton can carry the momentum from this tail end of the season. Stratton could be a great part of the rotation. You got Andy Suarez. He's starting to become his own. You got three guys right there who are ready to fill the rotation. You could maybe use Casey Kelly as a bridge next year. That could happen. You could re-sign Kermit, Derek Holland. He's definitely earned the right to. I think they should bring back Derek Holland next year. You could also sign another rehabilitation project. You maybe don't need to go out and get a Patrick Corbin. Maybe you don't need to go out and get a Charlie Morton. Maybe instead you go with somebody who's fallen on hard times. Maybe Drew Pomeranz. Pomeranz is maybe not a sexy name, but maybe bringing Pomeranz as a 5 may be a good rehabilitation project. Matt Harvey could be another rehabilitation project. There's going to be some rehabilitation projects out there. I wouldn't. And then maybe just spend your money wisely. And of course, you're going to have other. But I would definitely pencil in going forward. Rodriguez will either be your 1 or your 2 starter next year, depending on what happens with Bumgarner. If Bumgarner's moved, Rodriguez becomes your 1. I'd pencil in Suarez as your 2, Stratton as your 3, Holland as your 4, and then as your number 5, maybe Tyler Hurd, maybe Sean Anderson could compete next year. We'll see. Maybe like I said, maybe a bridge signing like Drew Pomeranz. There's some options out there, and I think Pomeranz would definitely be a good rehabilitation project. And Pomeranz actually has some experience with Kurt Young in Oakland, so win-win. Or you could bring in Gio Gonzalez on a short-term contract, depending on how he does in Milwaukee here. I think, Gio Gonzalez could be a guy who I think his stuff would be really good at AT&T Park, and you don't have to pour out a lot of money. So I think there's going to be some interesting off-season options, but I feel that now you could really start saying it's okay to trade Mad Bum this offseason. I think it's time for him to go pitch for I don't think we'll be contending in 2019. Let him go pitch for a contender next year. Go let him pitch in Milwaukee. New York is another possibility. Maybe go let him pitch for the New York Yankees next year if they're interested in him. You could. Or the Astros. There's another team right there. You could possibly work a trade with the Houston Astros. So there's some options there, but I think though the future, your centerpiece is you're going to build the rotation around Rodriguez at this point. But for the bullpen, I think they're gassed. And I think this was, the worst I've seen Moranta in a long time. So I think, though, mercifully, we're out of Coors after tomorrow. So, but certainly a guy like Dyson, who's going to be arbitration eligible. Dyson, if he can shine here during the month of September, you could easily trade a guy like Sam Dyson in order to shore up more of the bullpen and get younger. And certainly Dyson's arbitration eligible after this year, so they've got to make a decision on him. But we need better performances out of Belt and Panic here. Panic was 2 for 4 tonight, which is not too terribly bad if I don't see these two guys back next year. But at this point, it's just time to avoid the sweep in Denver before we head to Milwaukee. It'll be Andy Suarez against Antonio Sanzatella. We'll see. I think we're going to get swept. I have that bad feeling we're going to get swept tomorrow night. Then it's on to hitter-friendly Miller Park afterwards as the Brewery Tour continues afterwards. And let's check and for Colorado now. Colorado now a game up on LA in first place. And Arizona a game and a half back. So I'm kind of at this point, I will be rooting for the Arizona Diamondbacks. At least their fans are not such assholes, unlike Colorado and LA. So if I have to root for somebody else's, I hope the Diamondbacks win the West at this point. It's going to be a nice 3-horse race, but I think the Giants have ran their course. Let's go to the MLB Roundup for your Tuesday night. In Washington, in a slugfest, the Cardinals beat the Nationals 11-8, taking the win. Tyson Ross taking the loss is Austin Williams. Taking the loss is Austin Williams. Trey Turner going 2 for 3 for the Nationals. And a lot of home runs tonight. Marcell Ozuna, 2 home runs, up to 18 home runs. DeJong is 16th home run of the year. Yadier Molina, his 17th home run of the year. Gant goes 3 unearned. Tyler Webb, an earned run in 1/3 of an inning pitched. Dominic Leone, 3 earned in 1 1/3 innings pitched. Eric Fedde, 4 earned in 5 innings pitched. Sammy Solis, 4 earned in 1 inning pitched. In Pittsburgh, the Pirates beat the Reds 7-3, taking the win. Joe Musgrove, who strikes out 8 in 6 1/3 innings pitched, taking the loss. Cody Reed, 6 earned in 5 innings pitched. Gregory Polanco, 3 for 4. Scooter Gennett, 2 home runs tonight. Now up to 22 bombs on the year. In Toronto, the Rays blanked the Blue Jays 4-0, taking the win. Hunter Wood taking the loss. Ryan Baruki. And the Rays, staying alive, staying alive, staying alive. In Miami, the Phillies beat the Marlins 9-4, taking the win. Jake Arrieta, 7 1/3 innings pitched. Strikes out 11, taking the loss. Trevor Richards. JT Real Muto, 2 for 3. Cesar Hernandez, 2 for 3 for the Phillies. JT Real Muto hits 2 home runs tonight, up to 20 home runs on the year. And definitely will get some attention in winter meetings this offseason. In Cleveland, the Indians beat the Royals 9-3, taking the win. Mike Clevenger strikes out 10 in 6 innings pitched, taking the loss. Danny Duffy, 3 earned in 2/3 of an inning pitched. Yandy Diaz, 3 for 4 for the Indians. Alex Gordon hits his 11th home run on the year. And it looks like Danny Duffy's year is over as he got hurt in tonight's game. It looks like it's a left shoulder injury. It's just not been a good year for Danny Duffy. I certainly will see what happens with Danny Duffy in winter meetings, if he is back with Kansas City or not. But he will look to bounce back here in 2019. It's not been good for him this year. In Atlanta, the Red Sox beat the Braves 5-1, taking the win. Rick Porcello taking the loss. Sean Newcomb, who walks 5 in 4 1/3 innings pitched. Steve Pearce goes 3 for 4 for the Red Sox. And Red Sox already at 96 wins on the season. Atlanta's lead shrinks to 3 games on Philadelphia in the NL East. In Arlington tonight, the Rangers beat the Angels 4-2, taking the win. Mike Minor taking the loss. Andrew Heaney. David Fletcher goes 3 for 4 for the Halos. In Milwaukee, the Brewers clobber the Cubs 11-1, taking the win. Wayne Miley taking the loss. Mike Montgomery, 4 innings pitched tonight, was not good. And then Orlando Arcia goes 3 for 5 for the Brewers. And then Jorge De La Rosa comes in, 3 runs, 2 earned. Brian Dwensing, 3 earned and 1 1/3 innings pitched. James Norwood, 2 earned and 1 1/3 innings pitched. Definitely a lot of hit batters tonight. And now Chicago's lead on Milwaukee is just 3 games, and Milwaukee's starting to get hot at the right time. In Chicago, the Tigers beat the White Sox 8-3, taking the win. Francisco Liriano taking the loss. Lucas Giolito, who gets bounced after 1 1/3 innings pitched, 4 earned. Mickey Matuk, 2 for 3, hits his 6th bomb on the year. 5 runs, 4 earned, and 1 1/3 innings pitched for Giolito. And the White Sox still looking to get at least 70 wins on the year. They're 14 wins away from that, so could happen. In Houston, the Astros beat the Twins 5-2, taking the win. Justin Verlander, who strikes out 8 and 7 innings pitched, taking the loss. Trevor May, 4 earned in 1 inning pitched for him. Alex Bregman, 3 for 4 for the Astros tonight. Robbie Grossman, 2 for 3 for the Twins. And Davinsky an earned run without recording an out tonight for the Astros. Houston continues to hold a 3-game lead over Oakland. And in Arizona, the Diamondbacks blank the Padres 6-0, taking the win. Robbie Ray, 6 1/3 scoreless innings, strikes out 10, taking the loss. Joey Lucchesi strikes out 6 in 5 innings pitched. Just no run support. Kertel Marte goes 2 for 3 for the Snakes. And then Robert Stock, 3 runs, 2 earned, and 1 2/3 innings pitched. And Arizona just a game and a half back of the division. And games currently in progress on the other side of the bay in Oakland. The A's are currently trailing the New York Yankees 3-1. With Liam Hendricks being the opener tonight. Fernando Rodney, not good tonight. 2 earned and 1 1/3 innings pitched for Oakland. And that's turning out to be the difference maker as of right now for the A's. In LA, the LA Dodgers currently lead the Mets 8-4. Pitching for the Mets is Corey Oswalt. David Freese has gone 2 for 3 for the Dodgers. Todd Frazier 2 for 3 for the Mets. Ahmed Rosario 2 for 3 for the Mets. Rich Hill strikes out 8 in 6 innings pitched. Jason Vargas 5 runs, 4 earned in 3 1/3 innings pitched. Corey Oswalt 3 earned runs without recording an out as of yet. And in Seattle, the Mariners trail the Orioles in the top of the 8th inning with 2 outs, 4-1. And this comes on top of a altercation before tonight's game between D. Gordon and I know D. Gordon was part of an altercation. Hello, Zofer. It was D. Gordon and Gene Segura. D. Gordon and Gene Segura was part of the altercation in the clubhouse tonight in Seattle. And this just does not look good at a time when the playoffs are really starting to fall out of reach for Seattle. And this is just the last thing you need is more distractions. And I think that it's time. I think somebody's going to have to be fired in Seattle this offseason. I think this might be an incident that's going to get Scott Service on the hot seat. But I realistically think it's Jerry Dipoto that deserves to be fired this offseason. The Mariners farm is shit. And Seattle's going to be in a lot of trouble here. What's going to happen when Seattle's going to have to go out this offseason, overpay for somebody like Patrick Corbin just to even make a run for it. But I honestly don't. I think they're going to regret extending Jerry Dipoto and maybe even Scott Service. And Service may have to be fired if this collapse continues. And this is just the last thing the Mariners need is a distraction in the clubhouse like this, just at a time when emotions are running high. So just not good baseball by the Mariners right now. And it's already starting to look like a very toxic offseason for Seattle at this rate. And I have no confidence in Jerry Dipoto, there's a reason why he's out of a job with the Angels. And I think the Mariners owners need to figure out what to do, because that playoff drought is very likely going to swell to 18 years after this, to 17 years after this year. And I don't see how it's going to improve anytime soon with the farm system the way it is in Seattle. I think, and this is what happened with the Angels under Jerry Dipoto's watch. And it may cost somebody their jobs this offseason. This is gonna get interesting for the Mariners. All right, if the season were to end today, Boston would host the winner of the Yankees-A's. Cleveland and Houston would play each other in the other end of the divisional series. And then Seattle 5.5 back in the wild card. And don't look back, don't look now for Seattle, but Tampa is, oh, sorry, Maddie. Tampa is just 2 games back of Seattle in the wild card. And that is crazy to think. Like I said, I don't think Tampa is going to make the postseason, but Tampa is definitely not going away and making it interesting at this point. And I certainly think that, as I said, Kevin Cash is a guy that deserves a contract extension this offseason. And then in the NL, if the season were to end today, the Cubs would, of course, host the wild card winner. As of right now, it would be Milwaukee, and St. Louis is the second wild card. But don't look now, Chicago. Milwaukee is now just 3 back of the Cubs, and the Brewers are starting to play some great baseball as of right now. Colorado, oh, this is interesting. This would be a top. I would not know who it would be. Colorado against Atlanta. That's certainly going to be the divisional series as the season were to end today. LA just a 1.5 back of the wild card, 1 game back of the division. Arizona 1.5 back of the wild card, 2 back of the wild card, 1.5 back of the division. And Philadelphia 3 back of the division, 3.5 back of the wild card. Let's go on to the first night of minor league playoffs in and around the minors. Okay, no games tonight in the PCL. But let's start off with the South. It looks like no playoffs have started yet in the minors. Double A, no scores yet. Okay, in the semis, in the Class A advance in the Florida State League, Fort Myers beats Palm Beach 3-1. Cardinals organization, Fort Myers, I'm not sure who they're affiliated with. They take a 1-0 lead. Clearwater beats Daytona 7-6 in game 1. And then in single A, nothing today. And that's it for minor league scores as I say, are in the postseason now. For the minors, a lot of the games start tomorrow, so we should have a lot more minor league scores tomorrow. Also, Ryder Jones was called up today. Avital Avellino added to the 40-man roster. Jeff Samardzija moved to the 60-day DL. I hope we see Avellino play some games before the season ends. See if he's possibly a guy that can replace Joe Panic this offseason. But as for me, I'm going to call it a night. And really the real question is, are you ready for some football on Thursday? At this point, as the Giants just slowly head for their tragic number, which currently but at this point, the Giants' tragic number is down to 15. So probably maybe by the end of next week, they will be mathematically eliminated. All right, everybody have a great Tuesday night. We'll see you back tomorrow. And yeah, football's almost here. Good night.